What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. I'm laughing because I just spent the last 2 hours recording a bunch of video and I felt like something was off. And so I sat down, I was reviewing the footage. I was just totally uninspired. I felt like I was rambling the entire time. And then it hit me, I was hungry. So I had a bagel, had a little bit of coffee, and we're back at it. And yeah, relatively recently, I was looking back at some of my old videos, and I know that I don't post that often, especially in the last couple of years, but I've had this channel for over 10 years now, which is crazy to think about. And back when I first started, I think I was uploading fairly regularly. And I have a bunch of videos that I have like privated and what's it called, unlisted. But I was looking back at a lot of them, and obviously it's been really cool to see my own journey through fashion, exploring different brands and styles and interests. But what's a little bit more hidden / behind the scenes is like everything else around, like physically around me in those videos. I'll get off my soapbox in just a second, but bear with me. I was just taken aback by seeing all the old places that I used to live, that I used to stay at. It's not that I've forgotten about them, but I don't actively think about them. And it was just very nostalgic to look back at those things. In that moment, especially, you know, given that I've had a YouTube channel for so long, I really understood that my YouTube channel is actually like a mini digital diary of sorts. You know, it really has been like mapping out my growth from like a teenager to a young man, and now I'm 29 now, which is crazy. So I guess I'm approaching true adulthood. All that to be said, I felt like it was an important moment in time to take a snapshot, kind of plant a flag in the ground, if you will, about my life, so that I could remember this place, the surroundings, you know, just encapsulate those in my digital footprint, and hopefully in 3 years, 5 years, another 10 years, that's crazy to think about 10 years from now, you know, look back at this time and maybe remember a thing or two about what my life was like right here, right now. I spent the last two and a half hours maybe recording video, basically going through my entire closet, which is behind the camera right now. I think the last time I did like a full closet tour was 2020, which is crazy to think about because that was height of COVID. I was living alone. No one knew what the hell was going on. And not to say that my clothes reflected that, but I definitely associate that time in my life with a lot of the things that I showed in that video. I don't know, I thought it'd be fun to kind of do something similar 5 years later, where I go through the totality of my closet. At least in the present, it can hopefully be of interest to some of you guys, but yeah, again, in the future, like hopefully it'd be something that I can look back upon, hopefully fondly. Yeah, it was just taking way too long and I was rambling. Rather than talking about everything, I wanted to just kind of highlight some of my favorite things over the last 9 months. Hopefully it's nice, neat, and tidy. Hopefully you guys like it. I wanted to do 5 things, but it's a little bit more than 5. Yeah, let's get right into it. Also, a special guest of the channel, the prettiest little princess. In case anybody wants to sponsor this channel, she's available for work. First thing that I want to talk about is this leather jacket. This is Visvim's Fall Winter 23 Eton jacket, made in Italy out of a French lambskin. The Eton jacket is one of Visvim's flagship leather jackets. And stylistically, it's based on this is really heavy by the way. Stylistically, it's based on a 1920s, 1930s leather car coat, but it has a bit of a crop in the body. Buttons up the front, 2 slanted pockets, kind of like a rounded collar situation here. Made in Italy out of a washed French lambskin. That's the outer, and then the inner is a beautiful salmon red rayon lining. This is kind of standard for Visvim's leather stuff. This piece is interesting because there's a bit of a story behind it. I was at the trunk show and I tried the sample for this jacket on, and at the time it wasn't really on my radar. And I just tried it on because it was kind of the talked about piece at the trunk show. And I had never really thought about the Eton style jacket. I didn't know anyone that had one. So when I tried on the 3 at the trunk show, which I'm typically a 3, when I tried it on, it was quite slim and snug. I just didn't understand what the fit was meant to be. Truthfully, I really liked how it looked, how it felt, the leather, the color, all these things. And so I had the opportunity to place an order for one of these jackets at the trunk show, and so I did. But I ordered a size 4 because again, I thought the size 3 was too small. It felt tight, especially in like the back yoke. Get the 4, delivery is several months later, you know, fast forward to the end of the year when it releases, and it looks like this, and the color's different, the leather's different, the fit is obviously wrong, and I'm just like smiling through the pain of spending several $1,000s on something that is not like what I ordered, and I don't like the fit of. The leather that was used in the production version of the jacket was totally different from any of the leathers used in the trunk show samples. The trunk show sample had this like soft, supple, pebbled lambskin leather, and it was like stretchy and oh, so nice. And the color, and then obviously, as you can see, this leather is kind of this like rinsed and dried, very texturized, but not in a pebbled way, just like in a crispy sort of way. The final nail in the coffin was the fact that it just didn't fit. The 4 was too big, the arms were too big, the proportions were off, and I had no choice but to sell it. It was kind of a net win because along the way of selling it, I was able to find a buyer who was like a big fashion enthusiast, and we had this whole backstory. Actually, it's quite interesting. So I made a really good friend out of that sale. I recouped my money, obviously. It was a very fair sale, but I made a cool friend, a connection in the community. So that was obviously really beneficial. So why am I holding this now? Fast forward a year or so since that sale, I'd had 2 other Eaton jackets since then, but I understood more about the Eaton silhouette. That's kind of where this is going. I understood like how it was supposed to be styled and how it was supposed to fit, and it fit very differently from the other Visvim leather jackets that I had, which were kind of oversized, big, balloony bomber arms, drop shoulders, room in the body, like, you know, hefty jackets. I understood that the Eaton is not that, and I can appreciate that now. And so about 3 months ago, I saw this boy pop up on the Japanese secondhand market, size 3, for a ridiculous price. These did not go so well amongst Visvim buyers, basically because of this discrepancy. Like, I know a lot of people ended up selling these because it just wasn't what they expected, and I know a lot of resellers were hyping these up because, oh, Hiroki's wearing it and it's gonna look so cool, and then a lot of people put money down, but then there was this differential, and so a lot of people felt screwed over. You can pick these up, this particular version of the Eaton jacket, for relatively low as far as Visvim leathers go, but I still got this for even lower than that. Yeah, the Eatons also fit differently between seasons and between materials, and obviously with this like leather wrinkling washing process, you never really know what you're gonna get. But I triple checked the measurements, it worked out, and I'm so glad I bit the bullet because I really love this thing. So I mean, it's just a really good fit. It fits my arms really nice. So you can see the arm is not as balloony as other Visvim leather jackets. It's a lot tighter fitting. And also this back yoke detail here, the armholes are moved forward. I didn't understand this about the armholes because like when you first put it on, it feels a little bit like, you know, you want to do this or something, but that's how it's supposed to fit. You're very locked in, but when you keep your arms up, you know, it's tight on the back yoke, but it's not tight on your arms. It's like a strange but comforting feeling. I don't know how to describe it. Traditional car coats that other Japanese brands like Real McCoy's, they have like much more traditional fitting shoulders and arms, and so you know you don't have that feeling. But this is like one of the features of the Eaton. I guess it's like Hiroki's preference is to have something that fits like this. I didn't understand that when I first tried it on. No one explained that to me. I didn't have time to like sit and look at the construction and the paneling and like understand all these things. So fast forward some time and a couple $1,000s later, and here we are. One thing to note about the Eton jacket though is these buttons. They are notoriously floppy and flaccid. I didn't know about this, but that's how they're supposed to be. It's just one of those weird design quirks of like, I don't even know why. I can't come up with a justification for this, but every staff member that I've spoken to is like, no, that's like how they're designed. They're intentionally like a little bit loose and like vintage feeling or whatever. I don't know. All right, the next thing that I want to talk about is a bit of an update on one of the things I talked about in my last video when I was in Japan. These are the Taiga Takahashi Lot 704 raw denim. These are based on like a 1920s, 1930s cinchback style denim. They're made out of a really lightweight, like 9 or 10 ounce denim that's quite slubby and irregular, and it's just like Taiga makes my favorite denim. This is gonna be the through line on this, but like Taiga makes my favorite denim. It looks cool. It's like blue, black. It fades really interestingly. Like you might be able to, especially on the pocket here. Like, look at that. That's crazy. But I've just really gotten used to wearing baggy pants like everybody else, it seems. The raw denim, kind of like TikTok fashion bro joke of like, you gotta like extend your pants out to make them to look wide. It's like, no, this is not that. This is like a very traditional style, like early 20th century style pair of pants, very faithfully reproduced on old looms, knitting very slowly, knitting irregular yarn. One thing that I will say is that I do alter my Taiga denim. The leg is too wide for me, like truly too wide. I think it's like a 12-inch leg opening or something by default. So I slim it down just the tiniest bit. You won't be able to tell because it's still, you know, quite a wide leg. But the selvage line is a little bit thicker. It's a fat boy selvage. I did this myself. I'm not gonna show you what the inside looks like because it's a bit of a mess. But this is my intended fit and I'm really happy with it. The funny part about this is actually my second pair of Lot 704 raw denim. I bought a pair last October. I made a video when I was in Kyoto when I got them. Worn, altered the leg, wore, washed, over and over and over. I don't know, something possessed me and said, you know, let's accelerate the fading process a little bit. So I wanted to do a diluted bleach wash on them, just kind of raise the color a little bit of the yarn. I'd seen some really good results from like Reddit and various forums. This will be a really great medium between like buying a vintage washed pair, like from some brand, like, you know, distressed from the factory, and doing it myself, which is the whole point of like getting raw denim and like making it your own. Problem is that I left them in the bleach too long and I kind of crumpled them up. And so when I took them out, it had this horrible like acid wash. I actually thought I was gonna throw them away. I just ended up leaving them in like a more concentrated bleach wash. This was like 1 part bleach, 10 parts water, so like very diluted bleach bath. And so I just upped the bleach and I chucked them in there and I left them for like a day or two and they came out like this. There are some areas where you can still maybe vaguely see like little hints of blue peeking through. They're a nice eggshell white, which I love. This is like my favorite color of pants. I used to have this old pair of Levi's. They were so skinny back when I wore skinny jeans a few years ago. But they had like the same sort of eggshell white color with contrast yellow stitching, which I think is like the coolest color. Like it gives this warmth and character to the denim. Taiga's hardware by design, these toggles, yeah, all the buttons, the cinch back and everything, these are all meant to rust. They're meant to rust, and they make a note about this. And it's so that like when you buy a new pair of raw denim from them and you just normally wear it and wash it, like within the course of a year or two, you can have some like real antiquing and oxidation on those buttons and on that hardware as if it was, you know, closer to 100 years old, which I think is a really cool detail. But because I left them in the bleach for so damn long, they basically stained the shit out of the underlying fabric. Maybe you can tell. Like, this is an example right here. This button has bled all over. But because they were kind of haphazardly thrown into this bleach bucket, they were just stains all over. I mean, there's still stains, like, kind of, I don't know, you can tell, but there's like a light stain right here. You can kind of tell, like a stain right here. The fabric had also like kind of disintegrated in some places because the bleach ate at it so much. So I've done all this mending to get rid of that, basically. That's where this stems from. I took a little bit of creative liberty in like how I patched it up, but I did do all the repairs myself. These are pretty crazy, but I love wearing these. They did shrink a little bit, and I did recently like soak and line dry them, so they're fitting a little bit tight right now, but with a few more wears, they'll stretch back out, and these are like the perfect pair of summer pants. I love wearing white jeans. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. It's kind of crazy seeing them side by side because these are like the same pant. But one thing that I just wanted to show you is all Taiga Takahashi leather or denim comes with this mud dyed leather patch on the back. So this is what it looks like normally. You can see it's already got like some wrinkling, some patina, but like look at how crazy it looks after it's been worn and washed. Like, this is just stunning. I love this. Things like that make me happy. The denim madness doesn't end. This is Taiga's Lot 703 jacket, I believe. It's the Type 2 with the 2 pockets here. And yeah, I got this at the same time as my original pair of raw 704s from Kyoto last year. And I obviously haven't bleached this. I did want to give an update on the wear of how this has been wearing in, and I love it. Truthfully, I wear this all the time. It's just, again, something about the denim, something about the way that it's colored and the yarns and the like, it's not coming across on camera, but there's this like, almost like a fuzziness to it. This is a size 42. It's the largest size they make in this, and it fits me quite nicely. It's like slightly dropped shoulder right here, as you can see. Sleeves are a good length. They actually kind of sit over my arm a little bit, which is good because I think maybe in another several months when I do wash it, it'll have a little bit of room to shrink. But yeah, the denim has broken in really nicely. It's soft, it's just good. It feels good. I got some people asking me on Instagram how to style stuff like this. It's really easy, it's denim. I will admit that with Taiga's raw denim, I do often wear denim on denim. I think, again, because of the color, because of the fabric, because of the yarn, you can't. It just looks good. It doesn't look corny. I feel like it's really easy to look corny when you do a denim on denim set, especially when it's, you know, like a relatively new looking, you know, you don't have crazy fading going on. It looks like you just bought the mannequin and walked out. I will say, for some reason with the Taiga stuff, I don't feel that way. It feels really, really good. Styling wise, it's really simple. I just do normally a white or black t-shirt. I typically tuck it in. I can kind of do like a lazy tuck if I'm wearing a baggier t-shirt, or a little bit more of a fitted tuck with a slimmer shirt. Like, I might do a belt, I might not. It's a very versatile denim set because the denim has belt loops for a belt, has the back cinch, which you know, breaks up the pants a little bit, and then it has the suspender buttons. So it's like there's that visual element around the waist at all times, so that you don't need to have a belt on. Whereas if you're wearing like kind of a normal pair of jeans or like a normal denim jacket that don't have this kind of hardware, it does look a little bit more continuous and blobby, which I don't love. I will say in terms of belts though, my favorite belt at the moment is this double RL belt. I'm not just saying this because it was a birthday gift. I actually really like studded belts, like Western belts. But what's cool about this double RL one, in addition to the studs, little gems, and just the patina of this buckle, which isn't just a square buckle. And there's also the tooling of the leather as well. It's actually just the thickness of the belt. I feel like normally a lot of studded belts are like thick boys, like a full 45 millimeter. Normally studded belts are like this thickness, but this one's like a little bit thinner. I'd guess if this is a 30 millimeter belt, this is a 45 millimeter belt. I'm drawn to this one because the slimmer profile makes the buttons and the gems and the tooling just look that much more interesting. It works really well with a pair of pants like the Taigas, where you do have the rest of the hardware around it, and putting a big honking belt in there just ain't the move. All right, the last piece of clothing. The last piece of clothing that I want to talk about in this video is this baddie. It's my most recent pickup. I just bought this like 2 weeks ago, heavily on sale. I'm so happy I was able to get it on sale because I was getting ready to buy it at full price because that's just how much I wanted it, but I knew that I could get it on sale. It feels so good. Taiga Takahashi, spring, summer. Where's that TT? There's that TT. Taiga Takahashi, spring, summer 25, Palaka jacket, lot 319. Palaka, if I remember correctly, is a type of plaid-like fabric that like workwear was made out of for Hawaiian native workers and like cowboys in the early to mid 20th century. Also related to that is like the silhouette of the work shirt slash jacket. And that's where this comes from. It's a very simplistic, minimalistic work jacket style. You have one chest pocket. You've got buttons or toggles going down the center. Nothing on the back. No real embellishments, like pure kind of workwear, Western vibes. You got the back yoke here. They did make it in a traditional plaid color as well, but what really stood out to me was this ozone bleach wash. It's just so stunning. I'm such a sucker for like sun-dried and like vintage process pieces like this. And it's really easy for them to come across as inauthentic. I think that's, unfortunately, Fizvim does a really good job of making them look authentic, and that's why I'm so captivated by a lot of the stuff Fizvim does compared to other brands that just hit it with a potassium spray. But yeah, when I saw this in person at a store here in LA, I was like mind blown. This is a size 40. Size 40 is the largest size they made. And it has this, again, very cropped fit in the body. And so I tried it on, kind of just to see it, you know, fully expecting that I wasn't gonna like what I saw. But oh my God, this thing is fire. Like, I get it. The sleeves, I mean, the shoulders hit just at my shoulder. The body is pretty cropped. Ignore the fact that the t-shirt is longer. We'll talk about styling in a second. But the sleeve fits just right. You can see it's a nice long sleeve. It compensates for the higher shoulder seam. I knew that this was like the intended fit, and I fell in love with it. You know, especially with this wash. I don't think I could do the plaid. I think the plaid would be a little bit too crazy for me. From afar, pretend you're further away. From afar, this looks like a chambray shirt, and I love me a good chambray. But again, from afar, you see this and you think like, okay, chambray shirt, sun faded, vintage. Okay, cool. This is like a really cool vintage shirt. Yada yada yada. Upon closer inspection, you see, oh no, it's kind of got this like silhouette. It's got the cinching here. It's not a chambray. It's something else. And I think that's where the beauty of this piece is. It's similar to a lot of other things that I've seen before, but it combines them in a way that just works so well. And those are the kinds of things that I get really excited by. I was shocked actually. So I tried this on at the store when it came out. This must have been in like February or March of this year. Tried it on, kind of thought about it, archived the thought. I came back like a week later and it was sold. And I was like, who the hell is buying stuff like this? It's such a random piece. So I just kind of had my eyes on the prize. There were a couple other retailers that carried it in like a 40, and they all sold out except for this one that I got from Canoe Club when I visited Colorado, which was a great time. This is like my souvenir from that. Some details, obviously we talked about the fit and everything. The ozone bleach wash is just stunning. Fabric wise, this is like 3D almost. It's not like a chambray, which is like a flat, soft textile. This has like a feeling to it, almost like a crepe or like a shrunken tablecloth. If you can imagine like a loose knit cotton tablecloth has been put into a dryer or like a washer and then dried on like really hot. It shrinks up all the yarns and they kind of bunch up on one another and it creates this uneven texture. That's kind of how I would describe this. And the buttons too, I've got these like yellowed Bakelite style buttons. There's so much about this that's like, you have to try it to understand why I'm geeking out so much about this. The closest thing that I would compare this to is like 90s helmet laying. There's like these very minimalist, cropped, boxy zip jackets that Helmet did in like varieties of different colors and fabrics and stuff from like the mid to late 90s. And I had a couple of those back in the day. And there was just like this elegant simplicity about them. Like they never did more than they needed to. I get that vibe a lot from Taiga as a whole, but like specifically this jacket. All right, so styling wise, one thing I would never do is wear it with a t-shirt tucked out like this, where the t-shirt is seen billowing from underneath, because that defeats the whole purpose and the jacket looks small. So you basically have to wear this with a tucked in shirt and a decently high-waisted enough pair of pants. Nothing revolutionary there, but it does serve to be said. I do find myself oftentimes actually cuffing up the sleeves. I really like the sort of like off-duty look. And I think that that's because this is like that chambray style, and I think that with chambray is like, you have to just kind of like, it's casual, it's loose, you know, J. Crew core. All right, so the last thing that I want to talk about is my bag. I've accumulated a fair number of bags. I actually made this one. I have long been interested in these kinds of bags with the metal top. Sometimes they're called frame bags because you just have a frame and the bag is built around that. Sometimes they're called like conductor bags. I like frame bags a lot. I think they're kind of this like middle ground between old grandma core and like antique vintage style. There's just like something very like Art Deco about it too, you know, like especially when you see like a clutch, kind of appropriating that for a dude. The way that I did that was by getting just like a really beat up leather. This is a distressed lambskin and you can really see the texture. I was actually, especially this part right here, you can see with the black. This part here with the black and the brown was actually kind of inspired by this Vidsem leather jacket that I have. Kind of see something similar here. Not nearly as nappy. Some of my friends work in professional garment production, especially working with leather. And so they've told me about the level of difficulty that it is to work with leather, especially like at a production level. And there's certain things that you can't do with leather that you can with fabric, especially with like sewing it, for example. Not only do you need a different kind of machine, much stronger machine, different kinds of needles, but with fabric, you can like stab it as much as you want. And if you mess up, you can kind of like go backwards. And because of the way the fabric is knit, when you stab it somewhere else, the fibers kind of like correct the previous holes, if that makes sense. Whereas with leather, when you stab it, you're stabbing skin. It's not a bunch of things woven together, it's skin. So you have to be a lot more conscientious of how you put the needle down. Yeah, when I learned about that, I was like so intrigued. I wanted to see what I could do by myself. I kind of free-handed a pattern. I looked at a bunch of pictures of bags. A really simple pattern is basically one long piece and then two side pieces and a strap, obviously. I wanted it to be able to fit my phone, my wallet, my sunglasses case, my keys. It does that really well. And worn it quite a bit. I've traveled with it quite a bit. This is like my personal item whenever I travel. Yeah, so just like a simple pocket here, nothing crazy, no lining, nothing like that. And really amateur, guys. This is really amateur. If anybody that's worked with like real leather here sees this, I'm not trying to fake flex and say that this is like anything special. It's not. Or anything impressive. It's not. It's just special to me because I made this myself. And thinking about this video as a snapshot in time about who I am as a person and my life and the things that I'm interested in, you know, I'd be lying if I said I didn't want to produce something at some point. The way that my brain works, I always want to try to make it myself. This is my attempt to do that, and for truly a first approach, I'm really happy with it. Projecting into the future, it'd be great if, you know, sometime down the line, I can hopefully improve my ability to produce things compared to now. All right, I'll stop yapping there. I've got to chop up this footage. I'm sure I was rambling a lot. It's good to be in front of a camera again. I hope you guys enjoyed. I am curious to know what you guys think about everything. Let me know in the comments below as usual. Hit me up on Instagram, all that good stuff. Yeah, that's all I got. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Peace.